and how can we resolve the conflict and consequences of the conflict. Well, if I has to ask you, what exactly do you mean by the word conflict? The term is coined in the early 15th century. It is a Latin word which known as conflictus, which means to strike hard. Well, this term conflictus later turned into a conflict in Indian ideology, and the word conflict really means that a simple disagreement between the people. Well, the people don't see the word in the same way. They have different view. The conflict resolution is how to diffuse this disagreement between the people when they have different ideas and their different ideologies. Why this conflict arises? This conflict may arise in our home or workplace, in an organization or in between the organizations. Whenever whenever people are there, because peoples are different, they come from different backgrounds, their perception is different, they have different ideologies, ideas and mindset. Because of these things, the conflict arises. What are the causes of conflict? Well, needs. When people come from different backgrounds, they have different needs, then the conflict arises. When people have different values and pressure, when people can't handle the pressure or resolve it, they might burst or lash out, and the situation will cause the conflict. And perception, people have different perception, it may also cause the conflict. And styles and policies, people have different policies, principles, ideologies, their way of living is different, it might also cause in conflict. Let's discuss the types of conflicts. What are the types of conflicts? For example, in the workplace, and sometimes seems if we miss the deadlines or something happens, we might likely have to face the conflict between our boss or managers, lash out at a colleague who you feel continuously undermines you or who targets you. You might burst out and you will end up in having conflict between them. And if you disagree with a fellow manager or about whether the representing a client whose values you dislike, can also cause the conflict. In particular, there are three types of conflict: task conflict, relationship conflict, and value conflict. Well, the first conflict is task conflict, which happens in a workplace. Often involves concrete issues related to employees' work or assignments, or can include disputes about how to divide up resources or differences of opinions on procedures or policies, managing perceptions at work, and Judgment also cause this conflict. Well, in these three conflicts, the task conflict may appear to be the simple to resolve, but it often turns out to have a deeper roots and more complexity that it appears to have at first glance. For example, the co-worker who are arguing about which one of them have to go out of town for the town for the conference may have a deeper conflict based on sensitive sense of rival. Task conflict often benefits the intervention of an organization's leader. Serving as to de facto mediators, managers can focus on identifying the deeper interest of the parties' positions. This can be done through active listening and repeating back what you have to confirm for understanding and asking even deeper questions to clarify the things what they have to convey. Try to engage the parties in a collaborative problem solving processes. When parties develop solutions together rather than having an outcome imposed on them, they are more likely to follow by the agreement and get along better in the future. Well, relationship conflict is arises from differences in the personalities or the style or a matter of taste or even conflict styles. In organization, people who would not ordinarily meet in real life are often thrown together to work together. They can't they have to get along well. They have to compromise to work with the other. It has no surprise that there will be a conflict between them in an organization. Suppose you are felt a long tension in between with a colleague, whether over work assignment or personalities or some other issues. Before turning to a manager, you might invite the colleague and talk with him, clear your differences, and also try to listen the other person's point of view. That will help. That will help you to resolve the situation or get along well with that person. This will avoid the conflict between the organization itself. And value conflict, it is the last conflict. It's a last type of conflict can arise in organization. uh, this can include differences in politics, religion, ethics, or other deeper beliefs. Although discussing of politics and religion is often in organization, despite of that, about values can arise in the context, such as whether to improve an affirmative action or whether to take an client with ties to corporate government. These are the three type of conflicts we face in organization. Let's see what are the levels of conflicts occurs in the organization. Namely, they are inter-individual conflicts, intra-individual conflicts, intra-group conflicts, intergroup conflicts, intra-organizational conflicts, and inter-organizational conflicts. These are the different levels of conflicts where we face in organization. To define what is intra-individual conflicts, this is the conflicts occurs in between two persons in the organization. This arises because of their physiological nature or their way of behaving with the other, or these conflicts are generally related to the goals of a person or rules in the manners he want to achieve. What is inter-individual conflict? This inter-individual conflicts arises between two individuals having a competition for achieving the same things, like you can say status or power or position or a promotion or resources. You can say this this competition leads them into a conflict. What is intra-group conflicts? Intra means within the group, we can say. Intra-group conflict refers to the dispute among some or all the group of the members, like which often affects the group performance, or it may happen in a family too. A family run business can be especially to serve intra-group and other type of conflicts. These conflicts typically become more intense when the owner uh, approaches or get retired or actually dies or something happens. When the position is empty, this type of conflicts will occur. The way, like for example, the way to the sons of a great organization who are fighting for the ownership will end up in having this conflict. What is intergroup conflicts? Intergroup, which means a group, the conflict between the groups. Intergroup conflicts arises out of interactions of various groups, or if the groups are pursuing the same goals, or intergroup conflict is also called organizational conflicts, refers to between the two organizations, groups, or departments. Conflicts between groups frequently have highly visible because the involvement of in this conflicts are more people, so they are frequently highly visible. What is intra-organizational conflict? Intra-organizational conflict is a conflict which arises within various levels of the department or various levels of the organization. Various There are various kinds of intra-organizational conflicts are there, like horizontal conflicts, virtual conflicts, line and staff conflicts. These are the different department of organizations where the conflict occurs. So next, inter-organizational conflicts. Well, inter-organizational conflicts results in a conflict among different organizations. It is necessary that such interactions may result in the conflicts, uh, which may include conflict between organizations pursuing similar objectives. If we are trying to achieve the same thing, then the person in front of us looks like a competitor for us. So this conflict occurs. The conflict between government agencies and organizations, the conflict between head office and manufacturing unit. If the work is not done, then these type of conflicts occurs in an organization, like blaming each other for the work. The organizational conflicts, the workplace conflict, we can also say it is a state of discord caused by the actual or perceived opposition of needs, values, and interests between the peoples who are working together. Well, we have seen what are the conflicts and how they occur. Now let's see how to resolve this conflict. What is conflict resolution? We can say the diffusing the disagreement between the people who are having conflicts is called conflict resolution. We can resolve the conflict in three different ways: by ignoring it, or by resolving it, or by preventing it from happening. Why should we resolve the conflict? When we have a conflict, we have to resolve it in earliest time so that it will not cause any bigger damages in the later time. We can avoid the conflict, or we can resolve the conflict by talking to the two parties and clearing the things. Can anybody say how can we resolve this conflict? How to resolve this conflict in organization or anywhere? Well, identifying uh, the conflict is very important. Sometimes we don't even know that the conflict exists unless we talk or it uh, causes any damage. So, resolving conflict is very important. If you are a group manager or a team leader, you should know how to resolve the conflict without damaging or without taking any parties and disagreeing with the other. So, how to resolve this conflict is by identifying the members who are involved in conflict is very important. What is the concern of the group or the parties? Why they are having the conflict? Knowing uh, or understanding the things clearly is very important to solve the conflict. We should never go out of the contest or never hurt the feelings or emotions of the other person. We can solve the conflict by accommodating or collaborating or competing or compromising with the other parties or also by avoiding. How can we avoid the conflict by avoiding? We can say by avoiding the negative words when the conflict. When do you think the conflict occurs? Is while talking, we may use negative words or words which disrespect the other fellow in front of you, like you can never do that. I told you you cannot, or whatever. I never mind. So these type of words they might result in a conflict, or they might the other person might judge you, or it will leads to a conflict. So replacing these words with the positive phrases or avoiding the conflict is a good or better choice to make. So instead of using you never mind, you can say if you can do it, so let's do it together. You said policy 0486. What is full policy? We can, if you want to do that, let's do it together. Or if I, instead of saying I told you you can do, you cannot do it. Or you might say by I might suggest you to do it like this. If you do it like this, you can succeed. Or giving a good feedback is also better. By replacing such phrases by a good words, you can avoid the conflict. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got it. There are some other policies maturing in September. For that reason, I did not. So, what is the collaborating style of avoiding conflict or a collaborating conflict management is a combination of being assertive or cooperative. In this, those who are having a collaborate attempt to work with others, they have to identify a solution so that it satisfies both the parties or satisfy everyone concerns. You can avoid the conflict is good in this style, which is the opposite of avoiding both the sides. You might find a solution and which will help for both the parties. What is the competing style of conflict? Well, the competing style of conflict is when we oppose or when we stress our point without uh, listening or understanding or considering the other person's point of view is competing style of conflict. It is used when a person has to take a quick action or make an unpopular decision, or if you don't know how to handle the issues, then you will end up in making it worse. And other type of strategies are compromising. The one party might compromise to satisfy the needs of the other party to resolve the situation. If it is the only way to solve the situation, then you must take the situation and you have to compromise yourself if you want to be a good leader. When it comes to conflict resolution in groups or organizations, we have resolving intra-group conflict or we resolve intergroup conflicts. Like resolving intra-group conflict is within a family or organization, you can resolve if the member recognize their respect role for the other members in the family, then the people will realize that all the members need to realize that divide the stand united they are belongs to the same group and organization, so they should resolve the situation and the problems and work together for the wellness of the organization. If you are failed to resolve the situation by yourself, then you can call your friend or other person who you trust to resolve the situations despite of the members. And what is resolving intergroup conflicts? Well, we can solve the intergroup conflicts by problem solving or avoiding or compromising, or we can also by expansioning the resources that are available, or organizing the redesign, or changing the rule which causes the conflict may also solve the intergroup conflicts. So, what are the consequences of the conflict? Conflict have both good and bad consequences. It depends upon how the people take it, how we how we resolve the conflict may result in both good and bad consequences. Well, we can say the conflict increases the creativity. We find that the conflict has the positive effect on boosting creativity of the people because it motivates them to think harder to find the solution for the conflicts. When different people in the organization may have different point of view, they might think differently so that they might have a good solution. They come up with the different solutions. We can solve the conflict by seeing the solution that which helps, which satisfy the needs of the both the parties. So we can say that the conflict also increases the creativity of the person in an organization. Also, conflict forces people to clarify their views. We can say it increases the communication. It helps the people in an organization to know each other very well. If we clarify the things or our point of view clearly and understand the other, make understand the other parties, then the situation of the conflict will reduces. Well, conflict also produces constructive social changes. Like when the conflict occurs, the organization may take a step which have a good constructive social change that helps the organization to grow well. We can also say it gives the people the opportunity to test their capacity. helps us to know whether we can manage ourselves. Well, some people always think that the conflict may always result in bad, disagreements are bad, and having different point of opinion is bad. By seeing all this, we can say that the conflict also results in good things. It is important to know that the conflict also have the positive results if we really uh, express our thoughts and we discuss the way of idea our the knowledge we have, it will also end up in a good consequence. When uh, when we are working in a team or a department or a group of organizations, a good communication between the group, it and yes, it will also increase team productivity, and it will increases the better working relationship between the organizations, and it will also enhances the trust among the colleagues. It will leads uh, it will lead to increase the motivation of the members in organization. It will be very fun in working with other members in the organization. So, Utkarsh, we will share the attendance link so that you can click attendance link there. So let's see what are the points we have to keep in mind to manage the conflict. There are certain strategies or theories we already discussed now. Now let's see how do we manage the conflict. Whenever we face the conflicting situation, it is very important to remain calm and control our emotions. We should not blow up and start having arguments or start shouting at the other person who we are having conflict with. We just have to be calm and controlled over our emotions. And second thing is that we should keep calm and let the other person to do the talking. We should understand what the other point of view and we should understand what they have to convey and we have to consider the other point of view. By hearing them, we might understand what are the situation they are in or what the point of view they have. If we are in a professional level, it is very important for us to know or have or empathize with them. And also, there are some statements we can say that which have very power in avoiding the conflict or managing the conflict. That is, yes, I see exactly what you are saying, or I understand your concern. it is important. Yes, if we are having a conflict, we should make the other person understand that we understand their point of view before arguing or giving our point of view, so that we have to discuss with them or hear them out first. We should not raise our voice without hearing the other point of view. This will turn the situation very worse. And also, after understanding their point of view, if we are wrong, we should have to uh, admit and take the responsibilities for that or apologize for them. And also, after talking and resolving the conflict, we have to make sure that the conflict is ended. We should use the power of visualization, and we have to see that the conflict has ended and have resolved the problem completely so that it cannot come again in between the persons or organization. Well, to conclude this, I can say that use these tips we discussed today to manage the conflict or resolve the conflict, and uh, resolving the conflict in an organization is very much important for the sake of the organization or sake of the one person. The conflict may
मानसी, ये और कौन कौन सा क्वेश्चन है जो तुमने इनकम्प्लीट
the conflict may result in making a great damage in an organization. So we have to resolve it as soon as possible. And these are the tricks I shared with you today.
क्वेश्चन ऐड करना है
Use these tricks and we have to manage the conflict.
मतलब 60 क्वेश्चन
By this, I conclude today's discussion. 58 and thank you everyone. Have a great day.
This one.
Oh, yeah, Sarvesh. What is your doubt?
कौन सा है?
मैंने किया था सर.
मैंने किया था तुम्हें.
हेलो.
Okay.
क्या सर्वेश? Tell me your doubt. Yeah.
हाँ.
You can type it on the chat box.
Last में हो. Okay.
यहाँ पे ये बॉक्स आ रहा है.
मैं तभी किया ये. मैं फिर से करता हूँ. हाँ. और वो कौन सा लोग
Okay. So if that's it then,
This one.
let's end the session. Thank you everyone.